So hi, Well the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with,
Uh, Pat Kaloran, aka Nobody Likes You, Pat.
and we're gonna ask him some questions today about his upcoming album, Imago. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Good, I've done this a long time, and I am just grateful that people still like to listen to my music. It must be at least halfway decent because people keep listening to it. So it's. I'm always really grateful that people get excited about stuff coming out, and yeah, it's a nice thought that something I put into the world has meaning to people. So yeah, it's appreciated.
Oh yeah. Well, the album's
Yeah.
awesome.
Dude, immaculate. Like,
Oh,
can't praise it enough. It was really, really good.
thank you. I appreciate that. I'm in the phase right now where I was just actually telling my buddy, I'm in the phase right now where this album's been done for probably 7 months in
Oh,
full, and I've been working on it for since like around this time last year, if not a little before that. And so like I'm in the phase right now where I'm just like, oh, I'm want to work on the next thing. Like I've been sitting with these songs forever, so it's kind of actually refreshing to hear someone else say like, oh, I really like this. It sounds good. Like
Mm-hmm.
because to me, I'm just like, my mind's already like, okay, great, this album's done. We're putting it out. Nice. We'll promote it. Now can I write some more stuff?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
yeah.
the ever evolving artist mentality, I think. But
Yeah.
so I appreciate it. It livens my spirits about the current night.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
And since no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, you said you've been sitting on this for 7 months. Has that been 7 months it's completely done, recorded, you have the masters, or is that 7 months that it's been completely written, I guess?
No, so I typically, I mean, everyone's process is different, and my process even between songs is can be different. But I would say I started writing slash producing these songs, or like some of the songs around a year ago, and
Mhm.
like it was just gathering the right songs. But I think it was the last song got. I think the last song ended up being kind of a surprise one that I wasn't expecting. I think it was in February of this year. I wrote it and worked on it with a producer here in Minneapolis. And it was just kind of a last minute thing. And then, yeah, I mean, basically after that, it was, because I had signed to Network, the label that I'm on, in like January. So I was kind of like itching to just get these masters done. And so, yeah, I had my friend Jack mix and master it. I think they got done in March. So, yeah, it's basically been done. And then Network has just we've been working together, like rolling out the singles since I think March. I think one came out, pretty shortly after that. But yeah, it's just been, a long process of, to get the full picture out. It's taken a long time because of just, how music is released now.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you can probably see why I'm just like, all right, I know these songs.
Yeah.
We're good, but, obviously it's like, you gotta be, you gotta like train yourself to be like, it's okay to live in that moment for a while. Like, you don't always have to be like showing like, no, I can do better, I can be better. It's like, well, just like appreciate the work that's been done.
Mm-hmm.
Sit on it. Yeah, anyway, that's the point. But
So are you still kind of living in this first album moment, or have you already kind of moved on your writing for the next kind of go around?
I am writing for the next one. We've got a few songs done already, like produced out, and then a few other ideas just kind of in limbo. But at the same time, like I'm kind of trying to take a little bit of a step back because we've got an album show coming up in the Twin Cities here that I want to make sure is good, and just like other life stuff going on. And I just want to, I feel like for me, an album is about it's like a capturing a moment. It's a snapshot into like my life and internal experience, and it kind of represents a specific moment in time or a specific storyline. And so I don't want to necessarily rush that process this time. Like, it's not that I rushed it with Imago. It just came so quick and naturally. Like, I was like, okay, I know what these songs are going to be. I just, as I move forward, I want to make sure that I'm like really capturing what I'm trying to say. I've always said this. I've said this in a lot of interviews and podcasts and stuff, but I see the Nobody Likes You Pat project kind of like a journal, or like an old like home video you'd watch in your VCR. It's like you're taking a glimpse into a very specific moment in time, a very specific kind of feeling or message or whatever. And so I think it, it's always like living between the two worlds of albums. It's like, okay, this album is what I've experienced. Now I'm experiencing like a ton of different stuff that I'm going through, good or bad. And so I want to be expressing that, but you're also still like, wanting people to hear these songs from this other, time clip. So yeah, it's, for me, maybe every artist feels this way. I don't know. But for me, it definitely is like, it can be just like a little disorienting and, always wanting to push ahead. But I think this time I'm trying to take it a little more slow, appreciate the album that is, make sure it gets in people's ears, while still like being excited about the creative future.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Anyway, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah. So, well, I got the album title tattooed here.
Nice.
And that was for the album art, because the album art is just my face with that. But yeah, so imago is like part of an old Latin phrase, imago Dei, which means the image of God. And so within particularly Judeo-Christian, or like, for myself, it's within Christianity. It means it's like people are created in the image of God. We have purpose, we have meaning, we have emotion, we're creative, we're made with God-like attributes in us, knowing good and evil, things like that. And so you can go into it more, but so I basically wanted to write an album that was just kind of writing just like a very human experience album, like for me. And not, that sounds cliche maybe, but like I like to think that when I write my songs, I maybe approach things a little bit differently than other artists, or just how I jump into topics, or kind of the level of detail or depth I maybe go into a certain topic on. I feel like I do it a little differently. But so I wanted to kind of put my spin on just like, what does it look like to write about the human experience in my life during the time I was writing it. And during the time I was writing it, I was, it was, I'm married. I have 2 kids. I was dealing with, I'm trying to think of all the songs in there. Like, there was a lot of things going on, some like a lot of mental health stuff, a lot of kind of substance overuse type stuff, a lot of processing therapy related things, like things from growing up that I had never really like processed or dealt with. And so at the time I was mostly just kind of writing through the little clips of what that is, and then trying to tie it to a bigger picture. Like, for example, trying to think of a good example of a song. Like, this isn't out till the album's out, but the last song on the record is called I Don't Know What I'm Doing. And it's, it's just a little nice acoustic cut. It's nothing crazy, but each verse kind of dives into this like very specific little picture, the snapshot of some little detail of life, and then it's kind of bringing it back to this refrain of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it with you. And that could apply to, you know, I kind of thought of it in multiple ways. Like I thought of that applying it to my relationship with my wife, like, you know, or I thought about it applying it to like my relationship with God, or like whatever. And so I think my mission generally with a lot of my songs is take a specific topic, really rip it open, and then take the pieces and tie it to like some sort of bigger message or bigger picture that I'm trying to get out there, or that I think is important to say, as opposed to just leaving it with the pieces. Like I feel like that doesn't accomplish as much. Like if you just kind of tell this little story and then you leave it hanging, it's kind of like people are like, well, what do I do with all this? As opposed to like, okay, we've torn this open, here's the guts of the thing, now we're gonna like show why this little event or this specific thing that happened, how this ties to like a bigger reality. So I think that was kind of the purpose of the record, and just this project in general. But I knew going into this project I wanted my first album to be Imago and just kind of set the tone of what's coming. And yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Nice.
That's really sick.
Oh,
Yeah.
So what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Longest to write, let's see. I'm thinking through all the songs in the album. Well, I don't know if this counts, but Used to Love Girls, I originally wrote like 5 or 6 years ago.
We'll count it.
Whoa.
It was for like a previous solo project, and I never thought of it again. And then all of a sudden when I was writing this album, it popped into mind, and I just thought, I think I need to like revisit this one and redo it. And so technically the song itself is exactly the same, but the production is very different, and just like the performance is very different. So it's not technically the longest to write, but it's longest from initial version to now. And then personal favorite, probably, it kind of varies. It's changed over the process. I think Midwest Blues is one that's, I think, just very reflective of what I do and my type of storytelling and vibe. So I really like that one. I've liked that since I wrote it. I've kind of become, there's one that actually comes out pretty soon here as the kind of last single before the record, that's called Babylon. And it was like literally off the cuff. Like me and my friend Jack came to a studio, and I didn't even have lyrics. I didn't have a song written. I just sat down and like started, you know, throwing down drums and guitars and just like, let's just see what this becomes. And then, you know, I wrote a song to the track, and I don't know, I've kind of been liking that vibe. And I would say like the stuff I've been writing since then has been more in that kind of like ultra organic, but like, or just like more like, I don't know, like more earthy, raw vibe. And so yeah, that one's kind of crept up on me. Like at first I was like, oh nice, like this seems like it rounds out the album. And now like if I'm ever listening to the album, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, let's put that one on. Like that's a good vibe.
Hell yeah.
You know, I don't know. Yeah, you know, it changes. Depends on what I'm looking for, but yeah.
So you mentioned that the song that took longest to write was originally meant for a different solo project, and now I know you've put the band kind of on the back burner at this point. Did you always kind of have a solo project alongside of what you were doing with Milk?
No.
No.
No. When I was first in Nashville, I had a couple solo projects, but like the one I was doing in Nashville was just my name, Pat Cloran, and I put out like 2 EPs or something, maybe 3. I don't remember. No, it was 2. But one of the EPs came out like after Milk had already started, so like the solo project became put like on the back burner. But no, yeah, when Milk was active, like it was that was my focus heavy.
Okay.
And then, it was just kind of like, I feel like we kind of reached, we got like really close to like breaking through, and we had a lot of, we had kind of the internet vibe going on, which was fun, but it's like it just never fully translated, or it never like fully broke through to like a lot more people listening, or the shows were fine. They were never like there, there was obviously some bigger ones, but yeah, it I think there was so many factors, and then COVID hit around the time too, and it was like it just kind of was like a whirlwind of effects where it was just like, oh well, maybe we all have other focuses.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like there was just a lot going on for everyone at the time, and so yeah, it's kind of it's yeah, it there was never another project, but it was yeah, it was kind of once I realized, like I kind of felt that feeling of like, oh, I'm not sure what's next with this, that I was like, I want to get some individual thoughts out here. And that's when it was like November 2020, I put out the first Nobody Likes You Pat single. And that within the first few months was able to kind of start catching some attention with streaming and labels and stuff. And so I think I kind of gave me some clarity of just like, okay, I maybe I need to just swing focus to here for now. And kind of, and since then obviously there's been a lot of growth, and so yeah, it's just weird how that stuff works. Like
Definitely.
you don't know, you can never like plan anything, and this industry is just so like it just can chew you up and spit you out. And both on the fan side and on the industry side, like you just never know what's going to happen. And so I think you have to kind of play it loose and just be like, I'm just going to make my stuff. I'm going to hope that people resonate with it. And like, I feel like getting too concerned beyond that is almost just a waste of your emotion a lot of the time.
Yeah.
100% agree.
So how did the track list for this album come about? Did you write the opener to be the opener, closer to be the closer, to kind of shuffle around to see what fits? What was that process like for you?
It was definitely just shuffle around. Yeah, it was just, I like, the only song I knew was going to be the closer was the one that's the closer. Other than that, it was just like throw stuff around and, make sure the feeling of the flow felt right for the whole thing. So, yeah.
Roughly, like, how long did that take, and when did you know that it was like set?
Oh, I mean, that's honestly one of my unknown, my secret skill sets is a track list. I think I'm really good at making a good track list. I think I'm really good at making a good playlist, or like a set list. I feel confident in my ability to like curate the roller coaster of feeling throughout a system of songs. And so I think that's one thing that, yeah, when I sat down to do that, I was just like, all right, clearly this goes here. Yep. I'll put the puzzle pieces together. I might have switched like one around at one point after that, but it was I've always kind of enjoyed that process of sitting down and being like, yes, this is how people are going to hear this. Like, so.
Fair enough.
Love it.
So could you tell us a little bit about where your headspace is at while you're writing the album?
Yeah. I mean, I think I touched on it a little bit before as well, but yeah, I think that particular, the Imago album is kind of an album of healing and growth, I guess. And kind of almost more just like nostalgia. A lot of it's looking back at like growing up and some poor relationships I had with parents or family or whatever. A lot of it's, I mean, it kind of touches on different topics obviously throughout, but a lot of it's dealing with like lifelong issues that I've had or have, and kind of, and just looking back on stuff and then real and kind of bringing things to now and being like, you know, this was, you know, like maybe Money, the first track, like that's honestly, I'll be honest, and I probably shouldn't say this right before putting an album out, but I wish I had, and I no disrespect if either of the writers that I worked with on these tracks hear it.
Uh-oh.
I wish I didn't have the first two tracks on the album. They're great songs, but they're too poppy for where my head is at now.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Yes. Yeah.
This album opened up, I was like, this is going to be a pop album, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And then it just like shifted into like this kind of still pop, but not like traditional, like
right.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, I still think it works cohesively, but I think just like my gut feeling is like, man, I wish these songs were a little different, or whatever. You know, I obviously also appreciate variety within an album, but you know, and so, but anyway, no disrespect, good songs, they're there, people like them, it's great. But it's, yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, like the first track, Maybe Money, like, you know, that's just talking about like, you know, how you know, I've used music or my career to seek after like security in money or in acclaim or whatever, and it's like that stuff doesn't add up, you know. So I think just in general, that's kind of the process of the album, is just like processing lifelong thing, like issues or traumas or struggles, and then also just like looking back at things, and kind of, again, I think the what's the word, the climax, there's two climaxes in the record, in the kind of narrative of the record. There's one climax in the song Letters from God, where in the bridge it says, sometimes simple truths are the ones you need to know, I'll never let you go, and then it just goes into this big strings, and that, like, the point of that, I've been really getting back, I'm 30 now, I've been getting back in my life just to a point of like simplicity is really important, as you know, and just like there's so much chaos in the music industry and in the social media and like just like there's so much we chase after that's just pointless and empty, and like only actually like we think it's going to help us, but it really just like destroys us internally. And so, you know, that album, that song, you know, I mean, the name says it all, Letters from God, but it's a song of love for a broken person, you know, aka all of us. And you know, so that part is kind of a musical and message climax of like, you know, love is like, there is love for you if you'll take it. And then also the second climax is on the second to last track, Love Became a Wasteland, which dives into a ton of shit I've watched people around me do, and that is the opposite of love. And then like the bridge of that again is a climax. It's where it's what's the lyric? I don't know if I can remember. My brain is tired. Anyway, those 2 points in the record are kind of like, they really just take on the topic of like, like they bring all these little stories and these traumas and heartbreaks and battles and fights into like love is the answer, which sounds cliche, but again, sometimes simple truths are the ones you need to know. It's like I think sometimes we try to over philosophize. We try to like make things like way more heady. Like it's like watching an art film, like I love that stuff. But like, again, sometimes, like I said before, it's like taking all these pieces, throwing them up on the floor and then being like, yeah, just figure it out. And it's like, well, sure. But like, there's, you know, again, I really think there's importance in simplicity and like simple beauty, simple truth, simple like love. Like even love gets complicated like or like the way we treat love as this, love is not just romance, love is not just Hollywood, rom-com. Like love is not just passion, like love is like a simple commitment, love is like a promise. And so like I think the whole album is just kind of touching, like going through all these details and these, the specifics, and then getting back to like there's a simple answer here. I don't remember even what the original question was, but
Headspace.
That's my answer.
Good job.
Yeah.
So, how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they play it in the car with friends, dark with headphones on? Should they blast at a party, work out to it? What do you personally recommend?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say it's a good first listen is, pop your headphones in, top to bottom, give it a listen down, or whatever. Take it in alone one time, like, because, and then later on you can split it off. You can take the poppy tracks, you can take them to the party or workout, and then you can take all the acoustic tracks and take them under your sheets at night to cry. But I feel like I the way I write albums is I like people to hear them at least once full through, like, because I do curate them to be a full listen. So like, give it the full run through, pick, either enjoy it that way, or then if there's your favorites, pick them and use them how you want, for whatever moment suits them. But yeah.
Sounds Perfect. Good. So this question should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words, no more, no less.
I get this question and I never know what to say. But thankfully I've got this question before, so now I have answers. Fuzzy. I already forgot. I guess like transparent, or honest could be another word. And I don't know. I already talked about kind of the journal home movie thing, but if I don't know, I guess sweet. Like, I think it's sweet. There's a lot of sweetness in it. I think I've come to accept my sweetness. I used to try to be like edgy. Yeah, I gotta be edgy. Yeah. But I'm just like, no, like I just want to write sweet stuff. Like, I don't know.
So. That's good.
Perfect. Right. We need more sweet music in the world. Everybody's trying to be edgy, so thank you.
Yeah,
just because you've been listening to a lot of metalcore lately, Glory.
Okay, you know what? So, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want this album to invoke in your listeners?
I would say as a whole, probably hopefulness. I think it's meant to kind of take you on a wave of just thinking through stuff and maybe relating to stuff that listeners have, they've been through themselves, and they can kind of commiserate with the pain and the struggle. But again, I think the climactic points of this album are really like hopeful. And I think, again, it really goes back to that thought of taking the small details and tying them to bigger picture, a more important message. And so, I think if people walk away feeling inspired and hopeful and a little bit of peacefulness, that would be good.
Absolutely. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this album?
I don't know, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, specifically regarding making the music, or just anything during the creative time?
Anything during the creative time.
Let's see. So this would have been like August of last year to March of this year. I'm really trying to think. I'm thinking through the songs. I don't know if this is my favorite, because I really don't know. I'll have better answers for the next album, because me and Jack have been working on it, and we've already said like there should be someone filming this whole thing, just because the current, I'm getting off topic, but the new stuff I've been working on like is like, in my opinion, it's like heading down just a very like beautiful and like serious and like very like mature route. But the process of creating it has been anything but. It's been just lots of farting, lots of really dumb, like just like cussing out the mic, ad libs, like anyway. So I'll have better answers for that. But one specific memory I have about this current record is again that song, "Letters from God." Ironically, I was sitting. So we belong to a church here in St. Paul. It's an old 1800s building, so like the stained glass, the the pipe organ, like all that stuff. So it's like really like aesthetically pleasing, And so I was sitting in there, I probably should have been listening to whatever was being talked about, and I was zoned out, and I like had an idea for song. So I'm sitting in like the front row there, or whatever, in the pew, and I started writing that song. Like I think I wrote at least a verse and a chorus just sitting there. I think I finished it at home while I was working out later or something. But I just thought, I don't know if that answers like my favorite moment, but it was like a memorable moment of like this irony of like, what that song's about and like the message behind it. And here I am, sitting in a space that really kind of like, at least for me, like embodies that feeling, or maybe for some people alienates that feeling, because I know a lot of people have like hurt feelings around like churches. And it's, which we did a little video for it, just like a little teaser video, and we kind of subtly touch on that in the video, where it cuts between, like there's lots of quick cuts between this like big massive cathedral that's in downtown St. Paul, and then it cuts between like a really rough part of town where my friend who was videoing it grew up. And it's kind of, symbolizing like, a building is not your answer. Like this is coming from my perspective of faith. Like God isn't just in a building. Like he's found in the rough streets. He's found in the in the struggle, in the pain. Like it's not like just, oh, prim and proper, I'm going into the cathedral. Like, so it was kind of this tying together of those thoughts of like, like of, a God that is truly for broken people, not for people who are quote unquote religious. Like it's a love that is for those who are in need and hurting and in pain. Like, and that, I mean, that's the historical Christian message. And unfortunately in 2022 America, a lot of times it gets very twisted into something that it's not intended to be.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic, which we won't go into. Anyway, that didn't answer your question again, but I as you know from before, I get on thought tangents and I head down them because they're more interesting than probably what I would have said otherwise. So
that's fair enough.
Exactly. And this is the place to do it because it's a podcast. You're a guest. Talk away.
Yeah.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. You're going in. What is your snack of choice?
I don't know. I've been eating healthy for a while. Let's see. If I was going to get a snack, now I'm mostly a vegetarian these days, at least at home. But if I'm out and about, I'm not always, just because sometimes it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So I'd maybe grab some sort of like jerky or meat stick just for some protein. Or if I wasn't feeling that, if I wanted something still a little carb friendly, but not too unhealthy, I'd maybe grab a little bag of those like pea pod crisps.
Oh, those are so good.
Very low priced, but so good.
Yeah, those are a staple in our home. Costco has the bags that are about this
Yay big.
Oh,
yeah.
And then let's see. If I honestly, I usually just grab a drink. I'll grab like some sparkling water or what did I get? I was just at a guest. We were traveling this weekend. I don't know. I kind of just look for like a sugar-free, some sort of titillating water thing, or like even like if I'm feeling really sassy, I'll get like an energy drink that has no sugar in it, and like But I don't know. It's hard to shop at the gas station when you're watching the cows a little bit. So
yeah, fair enough.
I try to find something solid, something that will give me at least a little sustenance.
Exactly.
That's good.
I'm glad you're not taking a gamble on that gas station fruit. I'd be a little worried about you if you were.
I've done it before. Not always the best decision.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So on the topic of food, if your project was a dish, what dish would it be and why?
It was a dish.
I wish we got reactions like that to that question more often.
Usually people are like, interesting. Okay.
No.
You can tell us fucking weird.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, I'm trying to think of something that feels like homey and like, okay, this isn't a specific dish, so I'm kind of avoiding the question, but think of pretend you're 7 years old and your favorite comfort food that your mom or dad or guardian or whoever would make or give you. I want it to have that feeling where it's like, ooh, maybe this is good for me. Maybe it kind of hurts my body. I don't know, but it makes me feel nice and safe and warm and nostalgic. So I'm slightly dodging the question, but that's my answer. That's my answer.
We'll take it.
Exactly. That's fair.
Right.
That's fair. So for these last couple of questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
Yep.
Great. So if
please
you become
fuck music.
Exactly, right?
Seriously. You should hear my conversations. Anyway.
So if you could become one animal for the rest of your life, which animal would you be and why?
A sandpiper bird. They live on the beach. They just eat little bugs out of the sand, and they're really cute.
Oh,
good answer.
And why? Just because they're cute?
I don't know. They're just cute, and they get to be on the beach.
Yeah.
And they just run away from water, and then they go in the water and they eat bugs. It's great.
Good
Sounds
answer.
like a great life. Yeah.
It's kind of what I already do. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
So for this last question, boom, you're on a deserted island. You can bring one person, one movie, and one album. Who and what are you bringing?
I guess I gotta see my wife.
I guess.
Yeah.
A wife.
Feel bad to leave my kids. One person, one movie, you said?
And one album.
I'll take The Lord of the Rings.
Oof, that'll last you forever.
If I can take the trilogy, I would, but if it's just one of them, maybe The Two Towers.
That's a good one.
Book? I mean, okay, call me cliche, but we already know I'm gonna have to bring my Bible.
Okay.
We've already discussed what I'm about, and so if I'm not given that obvious answer, if it's another book, believe it or not, my favorite book of all time that's like a fiction or like a read that's not like a religious text is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Classic book. I read it when I was a kid. I read it on the train from London to Paris one time, which was a very nice experience.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if I'm nixing my faith-based reading choices, I might bring The Old Man in the Sea. It's just a short classic about a man dying from a fish.
Yeah.
What else do you want?
Yeah.
Right, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Perfect.
an album.
Album.
Oh, album.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was book.
No, I don't know where you got book, but hey, man, I mean, I'm
It
cool with
used to be book, though, so we just let
Yeah.
you go with it.
It used to be book
Oh,
instead
okay.
of movie until people started saying, I don't really read. So,
Okay.
Yeah, we were asking musicians
my
their favorite
apologies.
book.
My mind went to book.
yeah. it's all good.
Album. You know what? Okay, I could go way too much on this, and I've already taken up too much of your time. So,
You're good.
currently, one of my favorite albums of the last couple of years has been Porter Robinson's Nurture album. I just think that's great. It's beautiful, electronic, organic, super sweet, hopeful. I could get behind that. I could listen to that. I could listen to that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah. I got to see a little bit of Porter Robinson live. Immaculate. Mm-hmm.
Great. I'm pissed because he was here and I didn't know until the day of, and then I wish I had gone.
That
Damn.
hurts. So
Yeah,
next time.
Yes.
Next time.
Mm-hmm.
So as Gloria said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
No, my album comes out November 11th on Network Music Group, and I'm just glad that people listen. I really appreciate. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I just really appreciate that my music has any meaning to people. All the comments, YouTube, Instagram DMs, whatever, wherever they're from. I always appreciate it when someone's like, I don't know how I found this, but I found it, and now you're my favorite artist, or this song means so much to me, or this stuff is so beautiful. Why don't more people know? But like, it's encouraging. I appreciate it. And I hope to keep making music and that affects people and brings meaning to people. And I hope to do that for the rest of my life. So, or at least a while. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for now. This been. I'm just going to say that over. Well, thank you for now. This been Nobody Likes You, Pat, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.